Hey guys, here we go into a special video of We Fight How We Train. And this one is going to be for Bradley Scott versus Huynh Man Myung. I don't know how to say this dude's name. But we're going to be taking a look at his fight against Xavier Vigny. I don't know how to say that dude's name either, and it's not even hard. But and we're going to be comparing how he used to fight to how he fights some of these guys that kind of join his gym in these kind of cool little sparring sessions. Very, very fun stuff. Did I get that last video? Yeah. And then how he trains and how he teaches. And we're going to get a kind of a full scope of this guy's entire combat theory through just a couple of videos, okay? So the first thing that we're going to look at, okay, how he fights. All right, so checking him out. Controlling the space when he gets feinted, taking a step off. And now really interesting here, right? Kick. Decent, controlling the space so that he doesn't get hit with the jab as he controls the space with this kick. Looking to feint here, control here to prevent the counter to get into position. Okay, now I also want you to pay attention to this. This is really interesting. Look at how he also off that motion is throwing a jab. Okay, it's pretty advanced stuff. Multiple forms of controlling the line on one weight transition to get into position to throw a shot. Now, I want to say that that sounds so much more fancy than it's going to be as the fight and film study goes on, because this guy winding up being very basic when it all comes to it. But we're going to take a look, one, and then interacting immediately off of his opponent's punch. Right? Very classic idea of combat. Your opponent enters your line, punch him in the face, right? Don't just let him enter your line for free. But this idea means that he's very easily feinted, okay? Now we're going to take a look at here. I happen to have already seen this part here. But his opponent's going to open up with a kick here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe here. Here. Opens up with the kick. And now he's going to be like, oh, I can counter a kick. And look at him try to enter the line with the leg kick and gets walked right into a spinning back kick. Now, I don't know what the number system on this is, if it's, 9s and 10s, but classic 9 and 10 right there. But the idea is that he's very eager to enter his opponent's line off of the feints. Okay, and this idea is very, very, very important because of, well, for a lot of reasons, but we're going to talk about them in a second. But here, very classic kick into getting onto the line. He gets controlled. Now, real quick, just like we talked about before, right? Using the kick to control the line. Gets a little bit of control. His opponent reacts. Now he gets his gloves up in position to interact with his opponent's jab to stop him from getting hit and interrupting and disrupting his pendulum as he gets into this position. Boom. So kind of using his kick here to close the distance and pendulum onto his opponent, right? Pretty clever in theory, right? And then sits down and is able to kind of let this shot go. And then again, throwing this kick and then moving into this straight left hand. Now we're going to break the film study just a little bit here to kind of talk about how he trains that. And number one, what does that look like? It looks like a 1-2, right? Watch this how he approaches the line and see how he throws the jab. Shoulder comes up, right? His weight comes off the ground. Now in the fight, this is a kick. He's using the kick to shift the weight to the back foot, to slide forward so that he can get into position to land this shot. Now, it's backwards as this is his right hand here. But the motion is very similar as he uses his kick to simulate stepping with his jab, right? Because in kickboxing, obviously, your kick is going to be your longer tool, right? You're going to be able to check your opponent's guard, see how he wants to react to what you're doing from a longer distance. Although, if he's only looking to land his hands, it doesn't necessarily mean he's gaining an advantage unless he can force a kick block with a kick, right? Force them to check the kick and bring their leg off the ground. And if you get your opponent's leg off the ground while you're trying to shift onto him to throw a punch, he's probably going to go down if you land, right? Or even if you just get your weight into him. Whereas, anyway. Very classic 1-2 motion, right? Boom, boom, okay? I know he's going to throw left hand here. Who cares? But what we want to focus on is that type of pattern, okay? And how he always looks to initiate. Here he is again, initiating here. First, taking a step or feinting with the kick to gain some control of the space between him and his opponent. His opponent cannot be feinting or punching him in the face during this moment in this beat unless he read that this was going to be here, right? But his opponent is anticipating this. Oh, is it a leg kick? He doesn't know. Is it going to be a high kick? He doesn't know. He still has to figure that out, and that gives him the space to take that step forward. So what does his opponent do? Okay, the kick comes and he pendulums off, right? Takes a step off. Slip into the front foot, hook. Now this is very, very important too, okay? His opponent comes forward, controlling, right? Jab, sticking the lead hand out there, and again, think 1-2. One slip to the inside, slip back to the inside, or to the new inside, slip to position 1, and then leaping left hook, right? And again, very predictable timing, very easy to draw him in, right? Now again, very same basic feint, okay? Bringing his weight off the ground, and think about this again, exactly like a 1-2 if you were practicing it, jab, right hand. Again, very, very basic, and starts to be easy to time, even though he's pretty explosive, he's pretty quick, he's, you know, whatever. Once his patterns and his movements become predictable, and then you realize that he always has to step with his punches, as we're going to see, he starts getting annihilated by this guy. Now, this guy's big, and he's going to get away with a lot of shit because he's big, right? And we're going to watch some of his more recent sparring too, don't worry. But again, easy to get him to interact with you, right? Throwing one punch right off the bat. But when we watch the way that he trains, we'll see some of the flaws in his technique and why he's on the line with his opponents so much. Now again, kind of dangerous on the line. 1-2s, right? Forced into a defensive posture, shifts his weight to the back foot here with the block, and then moves into the right hand. Again, a 1-2, right? Very, very classic motion for him, but very readable, okay? Very controllable habits from this guy. Getting into his high guard, just moving off the line. And then again, countering the 1-2, right? Or same rhythm, same timing. But again, it's very easy to get him to interact with you, right? With one feint, moving onto the line, stepping with his punch. Now again, I don't know at what point this guy's going to start taking advantage of this, but he winds up being open in all of these situations because again, this kick is not necessarily any better than opening up with the stepping jab. You're leaping into your opponent's line, exposing your body and your momentum, but he doesn't know how to get on the line any other way, okay? And we're going to take a look at that in his training and stuff too. But it winds up being a huge hole. And we're going to take a look at some other things as well. But it's a very, very, very consistent habit that he has. Now, look at, again, I don't think he's a great kickboxer. I don't think his kicks are that good. And look at all the momentum that he has to get into his kick to get his leg just even here, right? Bringing his hands all the way down. This is another one of those habits that he has because he always steps with his punches and he always has to jump in, that he uses his hands for more momentum than he does for defense when he's throwing. Oh. And again, let's watch him throw the kick. Now he's here, and now he's going to take this step, shift this way, and bring his weight in. Again, this winds up being a 1, this first motion, and then this is the 2. Now again, he fights with a 1-2, gets stuck on the line, and then gets annihilated by this shot. Okay, now right off the back of his 1-2, right? Again, he practices the 1-2s much more often than he practices anything shifting his weight back. And we're going to take a look at his 1-2-3s as well. But very consistently entering the line off of a step in, or now easy to control him, right? Boom, boom, boom. He doesn't actually have that great a defense, okay? And we're going to take a look at some of that. Well, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of that stuff. We've seen him fight a pro, and this is many years ago, right? Now, you can see him training the exact same way against, let's see, let's take a look at this guy here. So this is like the guy that does the worst against him. One thing I want to talk about real quick is one thing this guy does do pretty well. He's got pretty fast hands. And people who have pretty fast hands, I call that like the Wing Chun, the arm punches and stuff. They like to throw body shots, okay? You don't have to change positions too often. Now, he already annihilated this guy. Here he is hitting into the body and dropping him. But this guy was very green. This guy is very, very, very not very good example. Look, he's very wide with his punches. Look at this motion, how he has to whip his body here, and look at how he has to whip his body with his hands here to get into position to throw the left, right? This is a very, very similar pattern of movement that Mr. Man here, the gentleman, has, where he has to wind up and get his body into his momentum because of the way that he trains. And again, we're going to get to see some of that again, but I just wanted to show him beat this guy up a little bit. Some pretty cool training, to be honest. Like, he has a pretty cool channel. Just lets guys come into the gym and like beat him up and stuff. Not really, like he beats them up too, but it's actually pretty cool. Hook, no head movement. No head movement. Taking a step off the line, he catches the guy. No head movement. But defense, right? How good is his defense here? Now, this is very, very important. We're going to take a look at this later. But notice his guard here, his guard here. No guard around the side here. The reason that this is because his head is in the middle. And that scene in the fight where he slipped his weight to the back foot in order to slip his weight back to the front foot to throw the right hand is kind of an anomaly in this guy's repertoire. He doesn't really use that tactic too often. I'll say blocking a punch. And because he doesn't turn his weight away from the shots to block them, he doesn't usually get the opportunity to counter very well, but it also stops him from being safe from punches like that, the overhand right, as we can see here. Think, I don't know if you guys saw Tyron Woodley just get annihilated by Jake Paul. What super funny. Super, super funny. But if you don't shift your weight to the back foot and get this shoulder forward and turn this into a block, you never wind up being safe from this punch, and it's always able to come around the guard. This is going to be a very, very, very important idea later when we talk about how to knock this fool out. But lot of hand speed from this guy. Again, look at his defense. Not great. I know he's just playing around with this guy, right? But watch him eat another overhand right for no reason, right? Other than he's not actually as good at this speed at defense, right? Otherwise, he would be making a much bigger fool of this guy. Now, actually, I can show you in the beginning he does kind of play with this guy a little bit. And he doesn't usually play with the guys. Usually the guys are in pretty decent, the ones that I've seen like 4 or 5. They're in decent enough shape that he doesn't really get to play around with them too much. But as we can see, this guy has hardly any hand control or any control of his own body in his own hands, having to whip his body and his momentum because he doesn't have any head movement either, right? So this is the kind of guy that's going to struggle a lot getting on the line and off the line with his opponent as well. So they have to use their momentum, right? Again, just like Mr. Gentleman, right? Now, let's take a look at him beat this guy up a little bit. Throw some body shots. Boom. A lot of body shots here. A lot of getting stuck on the line. Again, very open here. And we're going to watch him fight some guys that are better than this guy. Body shot. Body shot. Boom. Drops him again. Boom. Interrupting his line. Again, the way that he throws his punches, he's very easy to read. See how he steps forward? Mr. Gentleman reading it too. Very, very simple tactic to beat him as well. But watch how square Mr. Man is. Again, the whole time. And watch him rotate his way into his opponent with that jab. Again, open over the top, right? And again, this is going to be an important idea later, as Mr. Man's head is almost always on the line, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the heavy back work, okay? So we want to be focusing on his feet, all right? And this is going to be very, very, very important. Number one, okay, there's a step on the heel here as he steps into this big hook here. But this is going to be like a pendulum hook. And again, look at how he has a trouble getting on the line with anything other than a big step. Opening up on the big hook, and look at his right hand for pendulum, right? He has to use this hand to move his giant body. In spite of the fact that he's so big and this and that, he's not actually as nimble as he looks. No, he is. But it takes him a lot more effort than we think, okay? It's not as easy, it's not as safe. And each one of these punches, again, opening up his pendulum, unable to open or control the line with his rear hand. This is very, very, very dangerous for someone like Mr. Man because of the fact that he doesn't actually move his head when he throws punches. Again, one of the reasons why his body shots and his hands are so fast is because he doesn't get his body weight into them. Again, I call them the Wing Chun punches, the arm punches. Yes, you don't want to get hit by a 250-pound man's body shots or a 250-pound man's arm punches, but he's not getting his weight into them, so they're not going to be as devastating. But more importantly, he's not going to be safe throwing these shots. He's not going to be safe getting his head off the line, in spite of the fact that he's adding so much weight to these punches with the like pendulum-like motion. And it's very important to understand that, as well as all of his techniques for getting on the line. Now watch him take a step. Again, 1, 2. Very, very similar motion, even though he's not throwing the jab. Controls a little bit of the space, and it takes him both hands to get on the line. Taking a step, again, and then again, penduluming with the hook. And look at him, this is very important as well, okay? 2, and watch him throw the hook. His head doesn't move, but he has to get his weight into the bag, so he pendulums and he has to step into it again. Again, he doesn't know what to do with his weight after he throws a punch because he doesn't transfer to the back foot, so he has to take this step to regain his balance because his momentum doesn't leave the position that he threw it into the bag. Instead of being able to transfer to the back foot, he simply gets stuck falling forward onto his line, right? And falling off balance, and that kind of ugly little pivot thing, right? But again, 1, 2, right? 2, 3, I know. But not very much control of the line before he attacks, and only getting off 1 or so attacks each time. Even practicing his kicks. Again, I don't think he's that good of a kicker. Jumping, leaping left hook onto the line. Where's his defense? What position is he in after he throws this shot? How much control of the line does he have? Again, it looks really impressive because he's so big, but always stepping into your punches and always stepping into your work, right? Again, even here, it makes you easy and predictable. Stepping here, boom, boom. Now, there are fighters that are much better than gentlemen here, like I never say his name right, but his name is Bektemir. He actually just got knocked out by Gabriel Rosado a couple months back because he had this exact same flaw where he always has to step deep into his punches to get his weight into them. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about why that is as well, because again, one thing we've established, he has no active guard. He doesn't move his head. He doesn't transfer his weight anywhere. He can't even transfer his weight when he throws his punches. Okay, so we're going to take a look at why. All right, so here's a training video he did with one of his students here, and we're going to go through at the beginning, even though we're just going to kind of skim through. Now, obviously, I don't speak Korean, okay, so I don't have any idea what the hell he's saying. He's going to tell the guy to throw the 1, 2, and he's going to try to have defense, slip, right? 1 motion, 1 slip, 1 catch, right? Or pull, and then slip. I don't know what he's saying, but he's going to try to teach the guy to, I think he's saying watch the shoulders, and that's how he sees the motion. Okay, so I think he's pointing at the shoulders here, and he's going to show us the motion for the jab. Boom. Now watch that. 1, 2, right? See how he brings his shoulder to the line? Okay, nothing wrong with that. But I want you to pay attention to the way that he brings this weight here, right? Kind of jumping off the back foot, right? And we can see that he has all this weight as his whole weight shifts forward and brings it forward. And now this way, right? A lot of momentum, a lot of motion. But I want you to see where he is in the middle of his line here. 1, 2, okay? It makes his 1, 2 very, very, very predictable, okay? Just like the block. Remember when he threw the block and he shifted his weight one way? Here we go. When he shifted his weight one way with the block, right hand. Now, with the block, okay, let's think about that idea because the motion is the same. You transfer your weight to the back foot with the block, you transfer your weight to the back foot with the hook, with the jab, and the motion looks very similar. But look at how far he doesn't get his head off the line. And then again, remember, keeping his high guard in a similar position here, elbow tucked here, right? He has his hole here because he doesn't get his head all the way off the line. All right, and then 2, again, not getting his head off the line, right? It's basically in the same position, even though his shoulders are rotating, even though he's doing some of the things correctly. This is a chain of motion that he's looking to add a step to, okay? And we're going to see him. I don't know why he made that guy move, but But we can see him fighting all the way, always here in the middle of his line, right? And then always having to start by shifting his weight to one side, to the other. Now again, he has no active guard. Without an active guard, you don't have a system for getting your weight to the front foot consistently and understanding how to apply this technique to your shadow boxing or to your normal combat movement, because normal combat movement does not involve punching. Punching is a special thing that you get to do when you get your opponent out of position, right? Punching is ancillary to boxing, okay? It's a supporting measure from all the other things that you've done to ensure that you actually get to score when you do all the other things correctly, okay? And all this guy's practicing are his scoring punches, right? 1-2, 1-2, and now watch after he moves this to 1-2, what position does he go to? Immediately bringing back his weight to the center line, okay? Another very, very, very important idea, showing that without a system for having positions, right, a position 1, and understanding that he can fight out of that position and rotate his weight out of that position and throw punches and pendulum step and do all these things, he's going to constantly be looking to get back to his center line to figure out what his next move is going to be. Okay, this, again, makes him very predictable, but also stops him from chaining his movements and his combat sequences together in a meaningful way, offensively and defensively, okay? Very, very, very important. But let's go ahead and take a look at him showing some more stuff here. 1-2, okay? And then the same thing. Now, in the video demonstration that he was just giving, he did not say anything about stepping with his jab. I don't think. I'm not Korean. But here he is, rotating his weight from center, right? Center. He's going to bring the left shoulder forward. But in order to do that, he's going to bring the left leg forward too and throw the 1-2. Again, this is the same motion as throwing a kick first. Transferring his weight to that position or to this step, right? Or into this zone in order to transfer his weight into here to control the zone with the left hand. Remember, he would do that before. He would take the step with the kick, and then he would block a punch or get his guard. Very similar motion, and then sits down, boom, into this. Again, we fight how we train. Now, I have not seen him do anything else on the pads. I haven't seen him do anything else on the heavy bag, and I haven't seen him do anything else in any of his little fights, and it's not for a lack of looking, okay? But again, very classic motion, right? Now, the part that I want to point out again, all of his motions start the same way, okay? Now, watch this motion, okay? This is really funny because he's in demo mode, right? And he still took a step and then brought his lead hand and shoulder to the line. And now, he's not going to step when he does it, right? He already took the step to show us, but now he's not. But we know that that's not his standard boxing position, as he just readjusted after he did the demonstration. Watch him bring his foot back, okay? Boom, bop, right there, okay? So again, just one of those little details that we learn, again, charging his laser with the left hand again, boom. But very consistently fighting like this, stepping with the 1, shifting his weight as he steps on the back foot, kind of like the falling step, falling star step, drop step, falling star. I'm not sure what it's called. It has 2 names, and that was some combination of both of them. But looking to use a very similar motion to transfer his weight forward, but not use the left hand to attack like Dempsey would, right, in this instance, but to set up the right hand. Now, another thing that shows that this guy doesn't understand combat to the level that he should is that in this demo, I think he tries to show that you can throw a 1-2 faster than your opponent can change positions simply by taking the step here, boom, and getting your weight, 1-2, okay? Showing a lack of understanding of combat because he thinks that this is going to work if his opponent is trying to take a step off the line, right? I think that's what he tries to demonstrate, right? Here, here, right? And then he's going to try and be like, oh, but now you can just do it faster. And again, this demonstrates a massive gap in his understanding of what you're trying to accomplish with your boxing. So, dissecting that idea just a little bit, okay? Let's go ahead and look at some of his training with this gentleman. Okay, a U.S. Army guy, or I'm not sure if he was a Marine or what. No disrespect, buddy. Big dude, kind of big dude like him. Decent, right? He's a decent fighter. Okay, he's gonna wind up doing some decent stuff, but very basic stuff, right? Basic control of the line with the lead hand, right? Getting his weight to the front foot, controlling the line with the rear hand, right? His opponent can't get his free punch off because he's guarding the line, and then he's able to, find a position or find a punch. He's gonna find some punches of his own. Now, real quick, people who are really good with the body shot, they just never stop throwing it. So this is one of the worst parts about fighting this guy. If you're gonna fight this guy, is that yeah, he's going to find that body shot a lot. And even when he shouldn't be throwing it, right? Even when he's not in position, even when he's not guarding the line, his hands are down, right? He has to use pendulum, right? Step, jab, right? Boom, double shot. But using all of that momentum, right? Boom, look at him bring that hand back, right? Again, even if he's throwing this shot, right? If he's out of position, because this is very likely his best punch, this is going to be what he's really looking for, okay? He's going to have the most confidence in this. This is actually the first punch in boxing that you learn as a fighter. If you're right-handed, maybe your right hand you think is better, but the first punch that you're really going to master is going to wind up being the left hook because you learn to throw that without having to change positions. It's the easiest punch to master. And as we can see, his Wing Chun's pretty decent body shot, and we saw him annihilate that other guy with the same shot. So anyway, we're going to pay attention to his guard, or his lack of a guard, okay? Now, this is very, very, very important, okay? The fact that he doesn't change positions shows that he doesn't understand that there are positions to be changed into, right? Because he has to telegraph everything by standing square and then bringing one of his shoulders to the line to close the distance, okay? Here, he's going to bring his left shoulder to the line to close the distance, and that allows him to shift his weight forward, boom, right? And now he's in position to throw the right shoulder, right? Now he's off and he's square, and he has to bring the left shoulder and then step and then throw the right. Whoops. Not bad. Pretty quick, right? But again, very, very, very predictable, right? But just because his opponent is not timing him over the top yet because he didn't film study him or this or that, you always expect it to look different in person, but, a 1-2 is a 1-2. Now again, look at where his head is, okay? Very similar place in the line. No guard, nothing around the line. Again, no head movement. Let's get back to that idea, okay? Positions. The idea that he thinks he's ever going to be able to throw a 1-2 fast enough at somebody, even in training, just go 1-2, 1-2, and they can't move or interact, comes from the idea that he doesn't control the space between him and his opponent, okay? Now, if you stand in the center of your line and you're trying to fight someone, you have no active guard, because your hands here are in your high guard defense, right? As soon as this hand starts coming out to control some of the space, it brings his left shoulder forward. He knows that this is going to signify that he's throwing or putting himself out of position to throw a punch or in to throw a punch, and he doesn't feel confident defending himself with his left shoulder forward, okay? So he doesn't have an active guard. He doesn't understand that this is going to be a tactic, that he can control the space with this and set this one up as he's doing that, because he always uses this as a punch. Now, if you don't understand that you can control your opponent from out here, you're always going to think that you're going to be able to keep them in their high guard or keep them on their center line and attack them before they can shift their weight off their center line into a back foot position in order to take a step off the line, okay? Like he suggests to his guy here, right? Taking the step off. I think that's when he does it, right? Boom. So again, it's very difficult to do this, slip to the back foot, and then slip to the front foot if you're not controlling the space between you and your opponent with your lead hand. Okay? Number one, if you allow your opponent to control all the space between you and you, that means that their weight is already here at this line. Okay? And that's what he's banking on with the idea that he's going to be able to close the distance with his 1-2, and that's why he's teaching it like that, with the idea that his opponent is going to have such little control over the line here that he's only going to need to move his weight so much to interact with you and prevent you from being able to change positions, because you can punch faster than you can change positions. But The fact that he has to always step with his jab is going to be what telegraphs that idea and stops it from ever being actually successful at a boxing range, okay? So, taking up this much space, and in theory, he just took a step and he brought his weight, his back leg forward, and his shoulder, even though he just threw this shot, is ready to be turned over into this one, okay? We're going to take a look here against this gentleman. He does it right here. 1. Oh, I think it's this one. Boom. So but see how he throws this shot? He's taking that step forward, but his shoulders are much more square. He's controlling the space, but his right shoulder is already here. He's counting on the fact that you don't have enough time to shift your weight to the back foot to block, to deal with the left hand, and then move out of this space. Boom. Because, he doesn't practice with lead hand control. He doesn't fight anyone who's going to show him that he doesn't get control of all that space for free, right? And again, this is going to be one of those things that happens when you're always the bigger fighter. People are, I don't want to say scared to control the space between you and your opponent. But again, it just shows a complete lack of, or a misunderstanding of his combat knowledge, right? Again, some of the stuff that he gets away with is because he's so damn big, right? Shifting, beautiful work here. Don't even really see it coming, right? And now all of a sudden he's southpaw, landing a body shot. Again, those guys that are good with the Wing Chun crap and the body shots, they just always throw them, even when they shouldn't be. Even when they're getting away with shit they shouldn't. Stepping with that jab, stepping back to orthodox, stepping with his hook here, right? Just like we showed in the video, taking a big step here, and then leaping into the hook. His opponent looks like he's blocking it, but you can't really tell. Body shot again. Not too bad. Finds a way to slip to the front foot here. Controlled him with that shot, right? Almost finds a decent body shot, right? He might find it. But I want you to take a look at his guard again, right? The way that he has to sacrifice his body mechanics because, yes, he's a big guy. But there are so many things that he's not doing correctly and he hasn't had to because he's so big. People don't think to correct him. Oh, he must be doing it well because he's so big, right? Let's take a look at this last heavy bag video real quick just so we can point out again some more of that 1, 2, 3. Stepping with the hook. Boom, hook, right? Again, step, control, but he's not taking full control of the space, right? And then he controls with the right hand and then leaps into the left. And then look at where his head stays, right? And then he's off balance. Is he able to chain the sequence to anything else? No. And because of the way that he uses his weight for momentum to block and to shift, because he always has to get back to his center line, he has no defense here either. So this is an exploitable position from him because he doesn't practice positions. He only practices exploding out of his center line. Again, back to his boxing stance, right? Again, one Fouts boxing theory and mainstay for all the things that I teach is that everything we do in relation to our opponent. We do not have a fixed boxing position or stance. We have boxing positions, and we use these positions to interact with our opponent in the most appropriate way to give us the best advantage, right? So we want to choose our boxing positions as best as possible. Now again, when you can kick a heavy bag and knock it around like this, nobody's thinking to tell you how to do shit better, right? And again, let's watch his weight. Front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back, right? And watch him take a step on this lead leg each time he's throwing that shot, right? Again, everything he does, he has to step into. Falling off balance, stepping into this right hand. And again, he doesn't practice being in this position. He doesn't practice having an active guard. He doesn't practice shifting his weight to the front foot. So once he gets to this position, his body only knows one thing, back to my center line. And look at how he has to reset, right? I don't even feel confident that he could throw punches here. Now notice, a little bit of a right hand, and he has to pendulum back into this position. Looks like he's even farther off balance. Now, quick hands. He's pretty quick. But again, very, very bad here. Stepping with the right hand, hook, still having to take a step and reset. Right hand, right back to center line. 1, 2, right back to center line. And again, look at where he is here. 1, 2, right back to center line, right back off that foot. Now again, where's his head movement? Right? Is he going to practice anything other than punching? Is he going to practice anything other than stepping with his punches? Right? When he shoots his jab, watch him rip that shoulder back, right? Training drill, right? But this is exactly how he steps with his jab anyway, right? Even when he throws his jab to the, or his hook to the body, bringing that hand away. Again, I don't think he's the greatest kickboxer there. Okay, we're going to take a look at some more of his fight here. Again, just to show that he's the same. All these years of training and stuff, and he trains exactly the same way, right? One of the worst things in boxing and combat sports is if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And you got a new coach trying to teach a guy some new things, and you don't want him to get knocked out trying some new things to add it to your boxing or his boxing, but you have to. Everyone has to learn everything about boxing. You don't just get to be one style of fighter, you know, right? That's the whole idea behind mixed martial arts, right? Someone has a better way of doing something or teaching something. Stepping forward with the jab. Now again, watch his hands. Where are his hands, right? He's trying to be more sneaky than he is trying to be defensive, right? Because he has to be in pendulum, because he has to constantly keep his body moving, but he doesn't have an active guard. So he has to be stepping with his jab to get his weight to the line, right? Again, a very, very, very exploitable tactic, and something that Mr. Bradley Scott, you can absolutely take advantage of simply by training your overhand right. Which, by the way, I just wanted to bring up. You have that really excellent video if you guys want to check it out on the Fight Bibles channel. It's a punching technique for the 1-inch punch. It's actually a pretty cool drill that he does there. I actually have a number of ways that I teach that drill in different manners, and I'm going to be making a power punching program to kind of teach my own versions of that drill as well. But Bradley Scott has a pretty decent one. You know, not to give too much unsolicited advice, but I would love to share those techniques with you. Actually, I'm going to be making a boxing program, and I don't know if you might want to collaborate on it and whatever. But anyway, I'm sure if you're interested, you'll let me know in the comments. But defense. Where's the hole, right? Sitting in the center line. Guard. Up the middle. Guard, right? Where are the holes, right? Even though he's seeing this guy's weight coming, right? He sees the weight come from the right. Is that a good block? He sees the weight coming from the left. Is that a good block? The holes are there, right? And again, because he doesn't shift his weight to block, because he has to be in pendulum, because he has to throw them as 1-2s, right? His weight transitions, they all come off of that motion from him sitting in his center line. He has to always be exploding out of his guard. But anyway, I absolutely think that if you fought this guy with a little bit of lead hand control, you could force him to expose his pendulums and force him to expose his stepping on the line here, and he would be extremely easy to catch with punches here. Extremely easy to catch with shots over the top, especially because he always punches with both hands. He doesn't know how to separate his body mechanics enough and his pendulum enough to throw a punch without using his whole body. Look at his excellent control of the line here. When he throws a shot, all his control of the line with that other hand is gone. And now he's completely exposed here, right? Again, then throwing the next shot, again, trying to get into huge pendulum, right? Take a look at that one more time. Lots of holes, lots of gaps. And his opponent, you know, kind of an okay, just a regular guy, right? Again, those body shots, they're everywhere, right? Probably the best thing that he does is that body shot. He probably doesn't even realize it's his best technique either. Stepping with the jab again. Feinting. Super hard feint here. And then stepping with the hook. Shifting there. Very clever. But no defense, even though he shifted, right? Stuck on the line for a lot. Stepping with the 1-2, shifting after, and then he's going to have to step. Nope, he's going to shift back, get back to the center line, and he got beat there, right? So his opponent got to throw some free punches at him. Now again, when he doesn't know what else to do because he can't change positions, right, and he's stuck in his center line, he can throw body shots. He can throw body shots, right? Very easy to control him. Boop. Just a little bit of a probe. Body shots, not bad. All right, we're going to take a look at one more fight here. Okay? And it's this little kid here. I don't know who this is, but he's going to give this guy a run for his money here. And he's a little guy. Now, we're going to talk about why he's successful here. Okay? We're going to just watch the fight. Lots of control of the line, right? Control, control. Look at him. This little guy landing that shot around the guard, okay? Because this guy cannot move his head, right? Around the guard. Now, this guy is a little guy, and he just took that huge shot to the head here. Now, I know that this guy's not trying to knock him out, probably, okay? But I don't know if he could knock him out with one shot, okay? I mean, he probably could if he actually transferred his weight. But I want you to see how easy it is to control this guy, right? Most of his work comes in the form of 1-2, right? Something feinting, something probing into one big shot. So if he uses his feinting or probing motion to get into a block, and then he expels all of his technique to throw a big hook, let's say, like, maybe he's blocking here, and then, like, let's say he's going to throw, I don't know, like a left hook right here to this guy's head, right? Like we saw. Did he just throw both hands there? Where did that left hook to the head go? This one. Right? Controlling him, boom. And then here comes that shot. I want you to take a look at what he has to do after he throws that hook. What position is he in? He tried to get his heel up, try to get his weight into it, right? A little bit. His head's actually still on the front foot mostly. He's not getting his weight to the back foot. Nah, it looks like, yeah. But he's not shifting positions. But what does he do right after? Get right back to his high guard and take a step, right? His opponent reads it, boom. Watch the weight transition, right? He's going to take a step this way, and that means his shoulder is going to be able to come forward. And as we can see, the weight's coming, and his opponent jumps off the line and reads the body motion, right? But he's not in a position to throw a punch. Now, excellent. Look at him probing him, right? He's like, okay, come on, show me your best technique. And again, because this guy, just like in the MMA fight that he loses, he expends so much of his technique here off of countering with a 1-2, right? Boom, right? Throwing a hook. And then what happens when he throws the hook here? He's out of position. Where's the counter, right? His opponent is just a little bit better at getting on the line. Duck, control, right? More control of the line. Counter. Is he in position to throw any more counters? Any more than one punch? No. And he got no power in that shot, right? Nothing. And all his technique is expelled because all he throws are 1-2s. But now he's in front of a real fighter, and he has to move. Oh, decent. Control the line. Shifts his weight to the front foot. Here comes his 2. Oh, he threw a 2-1. Or rather 1-2, but in the fashion of 2-1-2. But no extra technique, right? Look at him throw this kick. Stepping, right? What does he do after? After he throws the leg kick, he has to move back to position neutral, right? And in order to get back into his neutral zone, he has to eat these punches, right? Again, his technique is very, very flawed. He does not have position 1 or a position 2. So half the time, after throwing a punch, he has to find a way to reset. And it causes him to be just so out of position. And this is in round 1 of this fight with this guy, and it's been 30 seconds, and he's already wasted. Right? Here he is throwing one step here, kick, and now he's off balance, right? Okay, let's watch him fight with the little kid again, because that's actually like super cool. This was like my favorite game when I was a kid, when bigger people would let me fight them. Throw punches at them. Super fun games. But stepping with the hook here, right? Very easy to control him. Now, is he knocking this guy out? He stepped into that big hook right there and caught that guy with a big shot. Still not knocking his head down, knocking his head off, right? Excellent control of the line from the other guy, piercing the guard with those shots, a little probing shots. Constantly finding these holes on the side, right? Now he's finding them with the left hand because of the fact that the right hand is so much farther away because he's smaller than this guy, right? The angles are different, and that's very likely the reason why he's getting hit with this hook on the outside, because the angles are just so different when you're fighting a guy, right? This guy can't create enough distance because he's so short. His line is so small. He can't move around as, as exaggeratedly as his larger, exaggerated opponent, right? So his smaller opponent here getting a very, very, very important lesson that his boxing mechanics have to be so much better than his larger opponents. Again, because his larger opponent doesn't even have to move to throw his Wing Chun shots, right? He doesn't have to transition his weight. He can just stand there and wing his arms at his opponent and throw great body shots. Now again, here's the hole. Here's a hole, right? There's probably not one necessarily in the middle, but if you can get control of this guy's gloves, because the way that his defense works, he sits in his center line doing nothing. He's open here for these big, big, big punches. And there are a lot of opportunities. Now, another thing that's very important to understand as we watch him wail away on this kid sometimes, this kid has decent body mechanics, okay? He's getting his way to the front foot sometimes. Some of his defense allows him to cross the line to the front foot, find the body shot, throw the hook, and transfer his weight to the back foot. Now, even though he's not all the way on the back foot, we can see he doesn't have either of his heels down because he's not transferring his weight all the way, because he's trying to be fast, because of whatever. We can see he's on this side of the line. I don't remember where I was going with that. Look at him. Oh, shit. Maybe I'll think about where I was going with that. Yes. So as he throws this shot here, right? And very, very classic move. This happens all the time. It's the most common. This is how you learn to defend your position when you get to the front foot. You fight a guy who's going to move out of the position, and they're going to find the hook, right? Now look at him landing this monster hook on this kid. But this guy is rolling the punch with him, right? He's moving to the correct zone, transferring his weight to the front foot. He wasn't moving against that shot. This is something, again, that's very common with Wing Chun people, okay? People who they throw arm punches. They usually have to wait for you to cross the line for them so that they can hit you as you're crossing their line. And this means that they're not always going to be getting the most amount of power, again, because they're not getting their weight into it. You're putting yourself in the correct zone. They're not shifting their weight to put their weight into the correct zone. And that's why I know, even though he's not trying to kill this kid here, right? There's no reason that this kid should be taking these many shots from this guy anyway, right? Again, easy, crossing the line just a little bit, and because, again, this guy does not transfer his weight, he's not able to catch this kid with a clean shot on the line, right? Beautiful pull counter. This kid actually pretty good, okay? I know he's getting to fight a guy who's, like, super slow and, like, again, stepping with that 1-2, right? Like, this is your dream, right? This is exactly how you want to draw it up. The guy, big, giant gorilla man, steps into your line. You pull counter him while you're circling to the right. Bah! I mean, perfect. Almost finds a perfect counter here. Now, real quick, look at how easily he's able to time that, right? Easy work, right? And look at him time this one. His opponent, again, is about to take a step with that left leg. He slips to the inside. Here's the overhand right. That punch is there all day long. All day long. And this guy has no defense for it. He has no defense for it because in order to get his weight on the line, he has to step with this punch. He has to do that. Again, part of the reason is because he's so big. Part of the reason is because of how he trains, because he's so big, right? I mean, it's 100% how he trains, right? He can fix it if he wanted to. But he's so big, he thinks that that's the best way to get on the line. Now, again, danger. Being in front of a guy like this right here, very, very dangerous, okay? A lot of body shots, whatever. But again, on the outside, Very easy to see his attacks coming. Left hand around the guard. And again, look at his right hand guard. Big holes. Big holes. Not turning that shot over at all. No power. And I know he's not trying to hurt the kid, right? It's a little kid, right? Again, the most dangerous thing about him, he doesn't have to change positions to find the body shot almost ever because he's so big. Now, obviously, that's different if you're fighting Bradley Scott. But, beautiful shot on the inside. Oh, and he goes for the body shot. And again, if you can read him, you're going to find these shots coming very, very, very easily. Again, the guy doesn't control the space with his lead hand. He doesn't control it with his feints, except when he's stepping, right? Very, very, very predictable. Anyway, we're going to watch one little tiny clip here. I think he just put this one out today, a few hours ago. But he looks like he does some fancy stuff, and I just wanted to show that not only is he not annihilating this guy, but this guy is kind of rolling with him, crossing the line, right? And stopping this guy from hitting him super clean. And again, it's another one of those guys that's super small, right, in comparison. But he's able to roll with enough of these shots, right? And I know he's not trying to kill him, right? But he's able to find him with his own punches as well. This part's very, very, very important, okay? That this guy's head is always on the line. And a more experienced, a more seasoned fighter is going to be able to take advantage of all of these massive holes that Mr. Man has simply just by punching him in that big giant head of his. Anyway, I don't actually think it's that difficult of a fight for Bradley Scott, especially if you get it to be boxing only. But obviously the most dangerous thing is, I think, his body shots. He has decent hand speed. But his defense is so poor that he doesn't really have a way to set his hand speed up, especially if you can keep a lead hand on him and stop him from feeling comfortable jumping into your line until you want him to. Until you get a little bit of control and you get the position in front of him that you want, and then you can allow him to jump into your line, and you can just hit him with a left hook as he jumps in, or you can hit him with a right hand over the top, or you can hit him with a combination as he does, right? But I don't actually think it's that difficult of a fight. He has a lot of flaws, and those flaws are present in his pad work. They're present in his heavy bag work. And actually, if you look back, I saw a video of him doing it like 7 years ago, and he trains exactly the same way. So, yeah, we fight how we train. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If you guys are interested in checking out my Fouts Boxing combat system to teach you guys how to properly get on and off the line, something that Mr. Man here could definitely use, check out the link in the description. If you're looking for personalized coaching, you're looking for breakdowns of your training, you're looking for this type of attention to detail to your work, and you want to get better, check out my Fouts Boxing Patreon. It's $50 to sign up, $50 a month. Yeah. All right. Anyway, Fight Bible guys. Yeah. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the film study and that it's helpful. And again, I think you have a really great shot at knocking this guy out under any rule set. We've seen that he can't really wrestle. His striking is rudimentary. He's only good at it because of his size. And the tricks and the stuff that he looks to take advantage of in the pendulum motion, being able to throw his body, are much more detriment to him at this level of combat sports than a benefit. Yeah, also, yeah, if you might be interested in kind of learning some of those variations to that drill that you were doing, yeah, we should definitely do a podcast and, see what I have in mind. I have some cool ideas. Anyway, later, guys.